Please help me. I don't know what else I can do. I don't have any more money. I cannot borrow anything else. I lost everything.
You have a choice. Take one path, and you can work for 40 or 50 years, sacrificing your time and your health to grind for a company that views you as nothing more than an expense. Maybe you'll get a few golden years toward the end before you start needing dialysis. All those years that normal folks spend grinding in the corporate rat race, you can bypass all of that. You can make in 4 hours what others spend decades slaving away to earn. All you need is one really good trade. If you didn't know any better, you'd say that trade-off doesn't sound so bad. There is a place for those who pursue that second path. The siren song pulls you in, and in one swift move, you're either a millionaire or you're left with nothing but the scars of a broken dream. This is Wallstreetbets. It was once an obscure digital underground for high-stakes traders, but has come to the surface over the past few years after the 2021 GameStop squeeze brought us into the limelight. It is a place where 1 second you're basking in gains and picking out your Lambo, and the next, 3 years of salary gets Thanos'd into the dust of a desecrated portfolio. A wise person would say that if you want to throw some money at a reckless trade, then at least do it with no more than you can afford to lose. Be smart, be patient. But in these days of TikTok millionaires, meme coins from the White House, internet porn influencers, omnipresent sports betting ads, and leveraged stock options, are we a smart and patient people anymore? To the reckless and desperate, a YOLO is the battle cry of those hoping for a better shot at what life can be. Because the good times don't last, and if you don't go to bat for yourself, you're gonna face life as a brokey wage slave. But there is a dark side to this Wallstreetbets community we've all come to know and love. And the consequences aren't just financial. They weave their way into every part of life. What begins as a seemingly necessary gambit quickly becomes a nightmare. Accounts drained, margin calls, divorce, loss of custody of your children. Nothing is immune when your market play is little more than a high-risk coin toss. Welcome to Wallstreetbets, where a one-way ticket into the trading abyss isn't just a possibility, it's a guarantee. The allure of Wallstreetbets lies in its Hall of Fame. The peak of the Wallstreetbets mountain is the millionaires who dance at the top, no matter how many bodies of failed traders and their butchered portfolios litter that journey. Everyone wants to be just like Hollicisms, and why wouldn't you? In the span of a few weeks, Holly made $7 million on call options, enough to completely exit the rat race. With his family, he achieved his lifelong dream of moving to Japan and doing whatever he wants. While I was waking up at 4 a.m. to make dank trades videos, Hollicisms was probably enjoying a late night afternoon walk around some Sengoku-era castle, freebasing sushi and sake. Or consider Standard Killchain, who made $11,700,000 on Carvana calls and shares in the 2023-24 bull market. This man will never have to think about money again. Without fail, Wallstreetbets will vomit up such a winner. Occasionally, you'll see these gains based on proper due diligence from a convicted trade, but much more often, the gain is just someone who threw a dart blindfolded and happened to hit a bullseye. But here's the fun part. People have always had trading victories like this. Hitting a big stock win is not a new phenomenon. What is new, however, is that people are telling each other about it with reach we've never seen before. In 1980, you might have seen Hollicisms in a magazine article years later. More likely, you'd never hear of him. He would have done his thing silently, and with no one to compare yourself to, there would be no temptation to emulate this trader who put his whole life savings on the line. But the world has since changed. To roaring applause and with great fanfare, options gamblers share their trades and make it sound like it was all deliberate. So if you want to be like these winners, maybe you should YOLO your college fund too? And if you're barely keeping your head above water, why not go for it? Take a look around. Everything is expensive now. Having a full refrigerator is out of reach for many people. Forget owning a house. If you see no other way out of poverty, or at best languishing in the middle class as your buying power gets fisted by inflation, why wouldn't you take a shot at salvation? All it would take is one good trade. The reality is that for every life-changing gain, there is a myriad of life-changing losses. Stories of lives upended, fortunes lost, and families broken. Considering the fact that people are more apt to post their gains than their losses, you can imagine how many losers there are for each one of these winners. and the impact of losing everything is really much worse than the joy of succeeding. This is Tufi. He had a good job making close to $100,000 at a defense contractor, but he didn't like it. As one of the youngest people in the office, he was also the most technologically literate. The number of times he got called to fix some old guy's spreadsheet because he doesn't know how to use Control-Z drove him nuts. This could be forgiven if he was highly regarded at the office, but instead, he received negative counseling at his 3-month new hire review for not acting like a team player, aka not smiling enough when boomers asked him why a PDF wouldn't open in PowerPoint. So what should he do? A. He could grind it out and build up his stature in the company, then solicit new job offers later to move to a company with a better culture. Or B. Get power of attorney to place trades in his mother's IRA, strike it big, and never have to worry about money again. His mother raised him by herself, spending years barely scraping by, and she ended up at the retirement finish line with about $100,000. That's less than Tufi would have made in annual salary. But in some minds, a year is a long time. While he worked every weekday, there were dozens of Wallstreetbets posts with someone making generational wealth in one move. And if he took a dip into his aging mother's IRA and struck a fortune, well, that's better for his mom too, right? At least Tufi would be around to help more if he didn't have to go to work. As noble and selfless as this decision was, what happened? He scorched his mom's life savings in a single trade. He got kicked out of his mom's house and had to go back to work anyway, this time while also having to financially support his mom, whom he left impoverished. The meager savings of 40 years of single mom grinding burned to nothing. I have a whole video on this that I'll share in the description. Luckily, Tufi's story does have a happy ending. After getting kicked out, Tufi went to work in another city, getting a job very similar to the one he had just quit. After saving and getting some first-time homebuyer assistance, he was able to get his own place in late 2024. His mother hasn't asked for the money back yet, but he's put it aside for when she does need it. Tufi's story is the best possible case of an upended life. In almost every other instance of destroying what you hold dear, the results are far, far worse. Consider user Elon I Love You, who hit rock bottom after his goth GF left him, turning to alcohol for respite. He had so little money that he had to beg for loans from strangers on Reddit. After scraping together enough money to place a long shot parlay on DraftKings, he ended up winning a few $1,000s. This would already have gotten him on his feet. But instead, he leveraged himself into a chain of high-risk, all-in options trades on Tesla, SPY, and MicroStrategy, with extreme disregard for his own personal risk tolerance. But with the kind of luck that would give the devil himself a run for his money, the madman's account crested $1 million within the span of a week. He had more money than he had ever seen in his life. But the desire to have more than $1 million in his account after accounting for taxes pushed him to trade even more until he eventually lost everything. 2 commas to 2 digits in the span of 2 weeks. Unlike Tufi, there is no happy ending. The Elon simp has not presented even proof of life since his last lost post. Increasing the stakes even further is Impossible Ask 4646, a manager at a farm who put his entire life savings, the money set aside for his children, on a janky crypto-enabled stock lending platform called Mirror Protocol, looking to earn $1 million a year of passive income on a $300,000 investment. One trade later, it was all gone. His family was so devastated that his wife divorced him and took the kids. And can you blame her? The guy thought 333% APY passive income was a realistic method of handling your children's future. Now he stands alone, cleansed of many years of savings. Going even further, Teresita Schoolcraft leveraged his home equity to buy shares and calls of GameStop and Bed Bath & Beyond, and miraculously, nailed the trade so well that his portfolio exceeded $7.5 million. If he walked away and bought basically anything, even treasury bonds, he'd never have to worry about money again in his life, living retired as his children grew up. But instead, he thought he was invincible and wanted to become a Wallstreetbets legend. He held on, unwilling to take the win, until Bed Bath & Beyond went bankrupt and all his shares were voided. Everything, not just his gains, but everything was gone. Unable to hide his losses from his family, his wife divorced him and took the kids. Teresita literally fled to Mexico in shame. And when the stakes could get no higher, we have user Dish Guy, who YOLO'd money he needed for his own cancer treatment because he didn't have enough money to also pay for his cat's cancer treatment. He had to make more to pay for both, so he put it all on the line, and now that money is gone. Dish Guy may also be dead. I can't find him anywhere. And the truth is, this will never stop. For every one success, there are dozens of these stories. It is a daily occurrence that someone loses their life savings on Wallstreetbets, desperately trying to replicate a lucky trader who posted his $400,000 YOLO money printer. And so often, even those who do win will continue until they lose. What would drive a person to trade with such depravity? Why would someone refuse to win so hard that they continue until they lose? Is it greed? No, it's not that simple. It's MICE. In counterintelligence circles, we use the acronym MICE: money, ideology, coercion, and ego. And recently, we started adding the D for deception. These are the reasons, the motivations for why people betray their country. But MICE also works as motivations for why people do dumb shit in general. And make no mistake, YOLOing your entire life savings on a 0 day to expiration spy call is dumb shit, whether you win or lose. MICE is the reason why we trade like garbage. The M is money. It's pretty straightforward. You trade erratically because you want the money, and making lots of money means taking lots of risks. But although money is the obvious gateway drug to Wallstreetbets, that's not where it ends. The motivation that drives people to YOLO their kids' college funds until they get divorced is not money. It is much darker. Ideology. It's us versus the suits. It's the retail trader versus the hedge funds. How many times is a 20% drop on a meme stock framed as a short ladder attack? Traders manage to convince themselves that they are fighting some ideological struggle against the oppressive short sellers and unspecified hedge funds when their meme stock loses value. Ideology is what killed the Bed Bath & Beyond traders like Teresita Schoolcraft. Traders are fighting an invisible war against Wall Street suits who have an axe to grind against the little guy, and battle cries like "hold the line" and "we can stay retarded longer than they can stay solvent" keep the troops in line. The sad part is that there is no short hedge fund attacking your microcap penny stock. It's just you trading like shit. The C is coercion. Once you're in the trenches, you better stay part of the team or you're getting called a paper-handed bitch. You need diamond hands if you're a real gangster. The social pressure to be part of these make-believe ideological movements must not be understated, as stupid as it sounds. The pressure to hold strong with your brothers and sisters in their steadfast refusal to sell even overcomes the desire to actually make money. Indulge this team atmosphere at your own risk. You're trading high-risk options and meme stocks. This is not a team sport. The next is ego. This is the killer. Ego is the one that turns every trader into a degenerate. Scoring a huge win is not enough, because money stops being the goal once you've made it. Once you have the money, you fall victim to your own decadence. That's what killed Teresita when he couldn't cash out at $7.5 million. He wanted to not only be a rich man, but a hero for strangers on the internet. This is what killed Elon I Love You, whose ego, not his bank statement, insisted that he finish with 7 figures. Walking away with $850,000 wasn't enough, even though 4 weeks prior he was drinking his sorrows and begging for money. His ego forced him to continue. His ego is what prevented him from cashing out at $600,000 or $300,000 or $100,000, because what kind of man cashes out below his high? And finally, deception. It's not a secret that Wallstreetbets is not a group of professionals. It's a gambling den, and as such, we manage to convince each other and ourselves of whatever we want to see. If you want a stock to go up, you'll invent a reason. Traders convince themselves and each other that Ryan Cohen filing to sell his Bed Bath & Beyond shares was for some reason other than to actually sell his shares. Surely, he was filing these forms for funsies with no intent to sell at all. Or he had filed to facilitate some kind of merger which required selling shares prior. These groundless speculations had no basis in reality. But it didn't matter, because traders wanted so badly to win this battle that they willingly deceived themselves and each other into losing money. Nowhere is this blend of money, ideology, coercion, ego, and deception better epitomized than Faraday Future, ticker FFIE, a car company that makes no cars, and a trader who rose to prominence during the fiasco known as Whimsicle Sandwich. Back in spring 2024, a ton of brand new accounts with no history started posting and commenting about how Faraday Future was going to moon. Out of nowhere, a huge drive toward FFIE manifested on the backs of these suspicious accounts. This was a classic deception move, creating an artificial bandwagon effect to pump the stock. Within half a day, spin-off boards and servers were dedicated to pushing FFIE as the next GameStop. As the money-hungry traders piled in, fearing FOMO, the stock rode higher, starting from just a few cents. Whimsicle Sandwich went in big. From $100,000 of her life savings, her position skyrocketed to almost $1.6 million. She began to be lauded as a hero, and her ego swelled. Sharing posts of her gains, she made calls for the stock to rocket to $100, which would have pushed her to almost $50 million, half of FFIE's market cap when she invested. These price targets put her on a pedestal. She was now the leader. She became an icon for this movement of penny stock traders pumping a struggling microcap car company that makes no cars. During the hours in which Faraday did dip, people looked to Whimsicle Sandwich to encourage them, to fight their war against the hedge funds and short sellers. FFIE stopped being a money grab and started becoming an ideological struggle against no one specific. There was even a self-proclaimed psychic who wholeheartedly believed that it was the will of the angels that she and the other FFIE soldiers buy shares to combat the evils of the hedge funds and their greed, such that the meek shall rise and transcend. Remember, this is a microcap meme stock we're talking about. Like all pump and dumps go, FFIE started to tank. Brave soldiers held the line. Those who sold were shunned as paper hands. One of the early investors by the name of Legend did sell for a huge gain, and he was immediately denounced as a traitor to the cause. There was fallout, and it was ugly. You can watch the video on this if you want. And even when it became apparent that Legend was the only smart one in the mix, Whimsicle's ego and her status as a leader in this movement prevented her from cashing out at $1 million, or at $300,000, or at her basis of $100,000. Because if she sold, then she wouldn't be anyone's idol anymore. Ego is why Whimsicle Sandwich cucked herself, which doesn't even make sense conceptually for a woman to cuck herself, but we're looking at the situation and that's exactly what happened. Money was less important than the clout, and those original bots pumping the stock were never seen again. They did their job and deceived the apes into buying, and then they disappeared. Eventually, so too did the other Faraday cult leaders. Money suckers you in. Then the FOMO, the self-deception, the distorted ideology, the ego that refuses to let you bail when the time is right. That is the dark side of Wallstreetbets. That is why Teresita is alone in Mexico instead of in a penthouse with his family. That is why Tufis scorched his mother's savings. That is why Impossible Ask has no custody of his kids. That is why Dish Guy might not even be alive. The shift to the dark side, with its allure of decadence and prosperity, must be resisted at all costs. Let us not succumb ourselves to Meist. We need to do better, not only for ourselves, but for the people counting on us. A king must build his castle starting at the foundation. Likewise, an investor must build his position with strength underneath it. Options gains on meme stocks are too fragile to be the backbone of your portfolio. I'm not telling you not to gamble on options, please do, otherwise I won't have these stories. But responsible investing in and of itself isn't sexy. The sexy part is when you free yourself of FOMO, knowing that your bags are secure. Your wealth will continue to rise. I've seen Wallstreetbets' darkest stories. I sleep soundly knowing I am not party to the degeneracy. Do you want to know what my portfolio holds? Piles of indexed ETFs, a smattering of dividend ETFs and blue chip stocks, and an outsized position in Apple. That's it. If you are not building a foundation of shares of indexed ETFs and low-yield dividend ETFs beneath your degenerate trading, you are wrong. Your castle will not stand through the slightest storm. You will lose your money, and then you will invent some enemy to blame for doing it to you. In your mind, the stock won't be dropping because people are selling. It will be a hedge fund doing a short ladder attack, or it will be the globalists or a market maker behind it, and you won't want to lose to such distasteful people, so you will continue to hold until you do indeed lose. Do not do this to yourself. Do not succumb to the temptations of the dark side. Instead, do things the right way. Pay off your high-interest debts. Take your employer's 401k match. Max out your own IRA. Buy shares of indexed ETFs and put some dividend ETFs underneath if it makes you feel better. Then, when your nest egg is growing and your dividends are flowing, then you can drop a band on a 0 day to expiration SPY call. And for the love of God, take gains. You are not the one person in life whose stock will never drop. Reflect on MICE when you trade, even if this requires post-nut clarity. If you are about to make an impulsive move, think about which MICE factor is coming into play. Are you even trading to make money? Are you even holding a losing position because you believe that the stock is undervalued? Or are you holding it to prove that you're smarter than the market? Are you convinced that your meme stock is part of some ideological war against people with yachts? Is your ego forcing your hand because you want to post dank gains? Have you read the worst, most deceptive DD in life, and now you're going all in without checking a single block outside of some Wallstreetbets post? If you can recognize your own descent into MICE, you will never cross that threshold to the dark side. You will remain in the light, making the right moves, and rising above the chaos that we subject ourselves to in this ridiculous sub that we call home. Whatever your case may be, I hope this video has been helpful to you. Join our free Discord to learn how to invest with no YOLOs required. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.